do a live demo this morning of a very colorful rocking horse. And before I get started, I just want to let you know that I practice before I actually come on here, especially when I decide that I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it today both on paper. As you can see, I've got paper here. This one I did on paper. And this was one of my practice ones. I didn't finish coloring them in. And then this one is on my iPad. And this one I actually turned into a little rocking horse video that I'm going to use for other things. And so today we're going to start with the paper version. Can I get him to stop? Probably not. We're going to start with the paper version, and then we'll move on to the iPad version. And I may end up showing you how to do the rocking horse. It'll depend on how many folks show up and how long it goes. I can stay for quite a few hours this morning, so let's see what happens. Okay, so we'll start with the paper version. Very plain and simple. I want to get my iPad to stop. So this is kind of where we're going to go. I want to do one thing here to get myself set up. I'm going to go over here and just I want to have my original sketch that I did on the iPad available. But we're going to start now with, and it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. So these black markers tend to run through. So I think I'm going to take this practice one that I had and use that as a blotter underneath. And I'm going to start out by actually using one of my plates as a guideline. And I'm going to start at the very bottom of the drawing and get the rockers set before I move on to the rest of the drawing. So we're going to start here with just kind of roughly eyeing up. I'm going to do the bottom at least a little more than 1/3, a little less than 1/2. And I'm going to be careful about doing it twice and spacing it. So let's get the bottom rocker, and then the top of that rocker. I'm going to give it a good amount of space. It gets tighter here in the ends and thicker at the bottom because that is the nature of using the same size circle to do both lines. And then I'll take that plate away. And I'm just going to go ahead and close up these ends. So we have our rocker. Now, I just want you to notice I'm doing this in pen so that you can see, which means I could make a mistake and I won't be able to erase it. Unlike when I'm on the iPad where I can just hit the back button. But we're going for it. So I'm going to come down about 1/3 and I'm going to make very tall hooves, which are the bottom, for the bottom of the legs. I'm going to come down here and they're going to be about the same size. And I'm just going to do the foreground version at this point. So here's the front leg hoof. Here's the back hoof. And I am going to make the front leg from there. And it's just going to have a wider shoulder here. The back leg is going to be a little harder. So if you're following along, by the way, and trying to draw this yourself, horses have a hock on the back. So I'm just going to make this little point, and then I'm going to come right back out, and I'm going to go higher than this shoulder. I'm going to go up here because this is just where the leg connects on. The shoulder of the horse is way inside, really. So I'm going to come up like this and make a nice tall rump of the horse. And then the front of that leg is going to go something like that right there. Okay, now let's put the belly on to connect the two. And then I'm going to mark where the wither is, which is the front of the back. It's where the neck and the neck comes onto the back of the horse. And I'm going to connect the wither to the rump, and now we have the back. This is where a saddle might sit if you were going to ride the horse. Okay, and then I want to figure my head is going to be up here somewhere. So I don't want to go off the screen though, so I have to be cognizant of that. And so I'm going to just put a little dot where I want the head to kind of hook on. And then I want the top of the head here. So I'm just going to go for it. And the top of the head is going to join to the withers. The bottom is going to go down and come in evenly as if it's going to go dot underneath here and join with the belly. Now I've got to do this head over here, which I will go ahead and make sure you can see it. I want it to be proportionate to the rest of the horse. So we'll bring the nose down about here, curve it around. Horses have a little chinny chin right there. And then it comes up at a bit of an angle and it gets thick again for their cheek. So is this perfect? No. I would change this a little bit if I could on a back button. I would maybe make this forehead a little bit deeper, but this is actually good enough. And I like to demonstrate things that are good enough because we can just use our eraser too much sometimes. And it's really about just accepting your own work just at a time. It's just about that. So we're going to add a couple ears here. And I think here I'm just going to do this one a little bit smaller. I'm not going to quite finish that ear because I want to bring a forelock of hair out this way. Okay, so we now have, now there is a way actually, because this is all going to be colored in, there is a way that I can actually fix this. I can make this come like that and like that, and this will just end up being part of the design. So I think that's okay. And then I'm going to add a tail right about here. And we're just going to let that swoop off. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just going to let that swoop off. And I think now I want to make sure you can see the whole drawing as I'm working, so I'm going to go up a little farther away. There we go. That way, if I start moving around, you'll still be able to see what's going on. Okay, so let's make this horse. I'm going to bring that bowl back, or plate back, and that's how I got that nice perfect curve at the bottom. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do another one, but I'm not going to put it through these front hooves. I'm not going to go quite as tall, but I'm going to do the back rocker here, because then I am going to show you, we'll give this a little bit of depth. Oh, that one didn't really take, did it? Let's do that again. I'll put this plate aside. So I'm just going to go like this, and this is going to be a little bit shy of the other one. That's going to be the back rocker. And I'm going to be able to draw a second leg in the front by just tracing this outline down to that back rocker, and the same here. We're just going to go right back to that, to the top line, which is the back rocker. Now we have our imperfect but quite nice rocking horse outline. And as I go on, you'll see how that isn't going to matter as much, because we're gonna detail it out, and pretty soon you won't even be able to see that. So I want to add a mane here. And now I'm going to start decorating. And if you remember, I had quite a few different lines along that are just sort of random, pretty decorative shapes. This one is going to look similar, not exactly, but similar to what I have there. And so that's one of the ways that we're going to get this to blend in. So right away, I'm going to just say this is going to be a decoration on the leg. And then the other thing I'm going to do on here is I'm going to draw a flower at the top of this leg. Now suddenly that mistake that I made, I've blended in, and you don't even know it's a mistake. So those are happy accidents. Oh, before I go too much further, let's define the hooves, because I definitely want to do that. So I'm going to make this front hoof there, my back hoof just above it. Here's the back hoof and the other back hoof. And from there, I will draw a plant. And I'll connect it to that little circle that I drew. So now I have a very decorative leg there in the front. Next, we're going to work on the head. And I just want to look at, so I did a flower here too when I first drew this. The very first time. I don't think I did it on this guy. This guy's a lot plainer. But I'm going to add this flower here. And a little bit of a detail around the eye. I'm going to add a line to show there's a nose, and then a straight line for the mouth. And then I think I'll make this a different color, so I'm just dividing it with some decorative lines. And then the same here. We're just going to make some decorative lines along here. Okay, one of the main things that I did for decoration on all of my rocking horses is I have these triangles back here, and then I also have like waves, like if you water waves represented on the legs and the neck. And so on my digital rocking horse, I did a little bit more, and I think I want to do that. I have this row of green leaves that goes up towards the flowers. So I'm going to try and fit all of that in. Let's see how I do. This guy's neck is pretty thick, so I think I will be able to fit all of that in. And the way that I will do that is just to bring a dividing line like that from the edge of his cheek, and then we'll just match that, parallel that line like this. And then we'll start adding just these simple leaf shapes on the inside of that space. So when I color it in, I'm going to have alternating colors. I can't forget to drink my coffee because it is morning and I only got up a little while ago and I really enjoy my morning coffee. Okay. Here go the waves. So I just curled up and back and now go down, don't go all the way to the bottom, curl up and back, down, curl up and back, down, and this is going to be the last one. So now we have some, you can think of the waves as being upside down, or you can think of these more ornate shapes as the waves going that direction. I also want to put those waves on the back here. I'm going to show you a little bit different way to do the waves. Much simpler from this. So I'm just curving back, around, curving. I'm actually drawing the same shape. It's just upside down. So there we have some waves on the back leg. I can also do a few right here. Simple, curve, go back, curve, go back. And we'll blend that right into the hawk. And then I'm also going to put a big old flower here on the hip. This is something that I did on several of the drawings. I like this sort of little yellow rump decoration. So I'll have to make my flower miss that rump decoration. How many petals should we do? We're up to 4, 5, 6. I think we'll just do a 6 petal this time. I have a little bit of extra room around here, so I think I may bring some decorative lines out, and I may have to go over these later when I color in. We just went short with that one. Oh, and one more here. Okay, so I'm going to do the large triangle idea here, which is individual triangles coming down. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to go a little bit smaller here as we get to the back because I want some other decorations down here. And then let's go ahead and make another line matching those triangles. Oh, pretty close, because that'll be filled in with a different color. Now you can make yours however you want. If you don't want to do flowers and you want to do spirals, you could do spirals. It's really up to you. The idea is that you just have a lot of different things going on your decoration so that it becomes a very ornate, just a very ornate drawing. And so here I think I'm going to just do a curl. Like that. And then bring that curl this direction. And blend it back in. And you can do your curl however you want. Just make it freeform. So here I'm also going to do some leaf shapes or a teardrop shape. And I'm going to top them off with little circles in a minute. Repetition of shape is just a helpful decorative element. And again, I have some extra space here, so we'll just have to see what I come up with for that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just join the front and the back here, the back leg to the front area, and let's put some circles in there just to add a little more decoration. And I also feel like I want to separate the head a little bit here. Maybe we'll just do a dividing line down here that meets that, and one that meets that. So now I've got dividing lines for where colors can stop and start, or I could change shade or tone. And I think I want to add just a little bit more detail into the tail over here. So that we can have a few different colors in the tail. And we could do that by separating this here and this here. So now we can have a lot of different colors in the tail too. Okay, I think, oh, I know what we haven't done. We haven't done the bottom. You can put whatever you want in the bottom to decorate this. I'm only going to decorate the foreground one. If you notice, I'm leaving a few places very simple because it can get, I kind of practiced this and figured out, well, you don't want to get it too confusing. You want it to be just detailed enough. So I'm not going to put any decoration on the back inside, but I am going to decorate this whole front rocker. And first of all, we'll do a couple stripes at the ends, both ends. And then I think we're just going to do an alternating between a diamond and a half circle. A diamond and a half circle. Now I'm almost to the middle, and I want to do something completely different in the middle. I'm going to do a heart. You could do a flower, you could do a spiral, you could do a cube. I'm going to do a heart right here. And I'm going to have some leaves, some green leaves coming out from the heart. And so I stopped just in time. I could put one more. I could put one more in there, one more half circle. So let's match that by doing a half circle here, and we'll go to a diamond. Half circle, diamond. Now I'm getting over here and I'm thinking, I've got to make sure that I can fit what it is that I want. So on this side, I've got a half circle and a diamond, and then it starts being stripes. So I'll make this half circle a little bit shorter so I can fit in my diamond. Everything is a little bit different in size, but fairly looks consistent because it's a repetitive design. Okay, now the fun part happens. We're going to start coloring and drinking coffee because it's Thanksgiving morning. And we've got no place to go, or maybe you do. Maybe you're going to go visit some friends or relatives. Maybe you're going to stay home alone and catch up on some good downtime. Maybe you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm good with all of it because I'm here all by myself. I'm not actually cooking a turkey. I'm not vegan, but I'm tending towards that a little bit more as I get older. I ate some chicken yesterday, so I'm not vegan, not claiming I'm vegan. But I'm also not worried too much about having a turkey today, or not having a turkey today. So let's start with, I'm going to start with a nice bright pink, pinky red, and just get bold right away. So this is going to be a quiet activity, me coloring this in. It'll go a lot faster when I do the digital version because you just go plunk, 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 and you plunk all the colors in. And we'll trim that with a nice aqua color. And I hope this encourages you to pull out a piece of paper, or later when I show you on my iPad, if you have a drawing pad, whatever you have. I hope it encourages you to pull it out and do a little sketching and drawing for fun. And if you outline whatever, I would recommend do it in pencil first, get it pretty close to how well you want it to be shaped. And when you're there and you're like, stop erasing and you're good with it, take a black ink pen and do the bold outlines like I've shown you here. And then take out your colored pencils or crayons or markers. The only thing I would say is if you do markers, you might want to wait with your black line until after you've colored in all these sections with your markers, because sometimes the black is so bold and it can bleed into the other colors. It just depends on the marker that you use. If you use a permanent that doesn't bleed, then you won't have that problem. So I think I'm going to go down here and just make sure you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and color in these water elements here. So these colored pencils are, I have no sponsors, by the way. I have no sponsors. I make no money from doing these. Faber-Castell. I just draw for fun. And I want to encourage other people to draw in a world, and it can be digital or it can be on paper. So these are Faber-Castells. I've also used Prismacolors a lot. I actually really love Prismacolors, and I have some, but this is just was on the top of the drawer. I grabbed it, and in my practice, they were bright enough. They were plenty bright, plenty vibrant in tone. So Faber-Castell are good, and so are Prismacolor. They're fabulous. And I'm sure there's some other brands out there that I haven't tried. Okay, so I know that I want to do this dark purple on the background pieces here that are just going to fade into the background. Okay, and again, you remember that mistake I made and how I just found a way to make it be part of the design? I kind of love doing that with decorative art. It ends up being, when you do these live YouTubes, or I'm going to start doing this on TikTok and Facebook too. And I'm going to try and learn, and hopefully I'll learn it this week. There's an app where I can stream to all 3 places at once. I've never tried it, so it's going to be a big experiment. Hopefully I can run it from my phone. And then I think I'm going to use a nice dark blue for the hooves here. I really am trying to build my audience. I would like to do drawing demonstrations when I retire from my day job in a few years. And because I really enjoy drawing and I really want other people to build their own drawing skills and feel confident enough to make their own artwork, including things like holiday cards or invitations. And I'm kind of doing this because this time of year is a good time to make holiday cards. And so learning how to draw your own images makes it really special. Let's see here. What color should I go with up here? I'm going to go with a lighter pink, I think, for this flower here. And I'm going to go with a nice light yellow center. I'll put some green here as if it's growing from a hedge. And then I may switch to kind of a bold yellowy orange here. I started out drawing when I was a little kid with markers on the kitchen chairs, I'm told. And that was when I was a toddler, which was not very well received by my parents. I don't remember the incident at all, but I forgot to detail the eye here. I want the eye to be just a black eye, just a nice dark circle for the eye. And then I was in, in a regular school, and I would get pulled out. They noticed I love to draw, so I was always practicing drawing at home, and that, by the way, is key. Practicing is key. That's how you get better. If you don't ever try drawing or practice drawing, your skills kind of stay where they're at, just like with anything. So I recommend practicing and getting better. And so I was always drawing on my own when I was a little kid. And the teacher noticed that I was building my skills up. So then they would ask me to do special things, like if they needed a poster drawn for the hallway. I remember they wanted a Santa Claus for the hallway. And I mean, I did it, but I was not happy about doing it. I look back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the teacher was being so kind and honoring me by saying, hey, we noticed that you draw well enough that we want you to draw a poster for outside our classroom. And they made me special that way. And that was the problem. I was separated out from the other kids to do this special project. And I kind of sulked my way through it because I didn't want to be different than the other kids. I wanted to be like the other kids. And then I kind of look back on that and I'm like, oh my God, what did that teacher think about me? Sullen little kid. Moody little artist. Okay. I wonder if I can go, oh, but then I can't. I have to move the whole apparatus. Okay, well, we're just going to keep going with the coloring. And I think I'm going to alternate between a dark and a light yellow on this mane. I want to thank everybody who stops by. I really will appreciate thumbs up. It helps my YouTube know that people enjoy what I'm doing or appreciate the effort to show other people how to do fun drawings. I'm trying to build my channel, so if you happen to come across this and you want to subscribe, I would much appreciate that. So we'll go with a contrasting color here. Drawing takes time, but when you're done, if you practice and you get your base drawing done in a way that you enjoy, you're like, oh, that looks good, and then you're like, that's the one I'm going to color in, and you take the time and you color it all in, outline the edges in black to make it look extra special, or you could use another bold color like a gold or a dark brown. I love the idea of doing a gold. And I might look in my box here and see. I didn't think about that ahead of time, but I certainly could think about this as an illuminated drawing. Oh, that's an exciting idea. I might do that if I can find a gold without too much trouble, because I didn't pull it out ahead of time. But that'll be at the very end that we would add gold accents. And I'll go with that light yellow again here. We'll do some nice green leaves. Green bottom to the plant. And this gold, I'm really enjoying this gold actually. I keep pulling it out. It's nice and bold. It's not too light. And it's really cheerful. So I'm drawing live here. Oh, I haven't checked the comments in a while. Edward. What? Stop, hey. Okay. Oh, Beauty says, hey. And I'm going to go back to drawing in just a second. Thanks for the thumbs up, folks. So I think we're going to need some contrasting colors over here. And we'll alternate again. I think I'll go with a lighter blue here. It's all in the details, you know. And we'll go back to the green for these leaves. Once you get all the lines down, it's just very relaxing to just color it all in. Put on some good music. Keep someone company while they're watching their show on the TV. Sit at the table with somebody while they're studying and just color it in. So I think I'll bring this yellow again. Is there some other color I'm missing? Oh, there's an orange I haven't used. It's a little bit, I wonder if it's much different than this one. Okay, I'm gonna go with this coral right here. Okay, and then of course I will go with my favorite yellow for the biggest section on this drawing. Oh, and I put those yellows side by side, so I might do a little bit of color layering up there, which is perfect. I know this is shaking the phone a little bit for you folks watching. It's a jiggly demonstration. Over here a little bit out where you can't see. So I'm just sort of going in multiple directions when I start coloring in. When I was in illustration school years ago, I was in art school, you know, there was talk about that. How do you color in a drawing? And some illustrators would draw little, I'm going to show you little tiny circles, and they would just overlap all the other circles. And the idea is that you were trying to hide the feeling of a pencil going back and forth. And nowadays, now that digital art has become a thing, actually letting people know that you're using a real pencil is not necessarily a bad thing. It shows that you have the patience and the skill to do this on paper, where it's a lot harder with pens and pigments to take it back and undo it. So here we will go with a little bit lighter yellow on the belly around all these little decorations. I seem to just go back to a green shape for anything that looks remotely like a leaf. You don't have to do that. That's just me doing something consistent. And I think I'll go with the coral here. And let's do a coral background here. So something, oh, I wanted to go back up here and show you. So I have here, I've got the goldy yellow, and here I've got the coral, and in between I've got the goldy yellow again. So what I was going to do to the color layer is create some differentiation between this gold and this gold by layering just on the bottom edge. I'm going to layer this coral color. And then just kind of blend it down to nothing right there. So that we can actually do that in multiple places. So I could take this green, for instance, and color layer here. And I'm not going all the way up. I'm just layering the bottom. It just makes it a little more interesting. And then I really want these to be pushed into the back. So this dark blue I used down here, I'm going to use it up here at the top and just layer a little bit to kind of push that back. Same here, push it into the background by making it a little darker and add some color interest. Okay, back to filling in all the blank spots on this. See if I can. So I haven't used the dark up here much. Let's just try it. We'll put that darker blue here. And then I think we'll just go over with this aqua here. I'm going to grab the light blue because I haven't done much of that, and just put the light blue in here. And I tend to do a lot of pink flowers, so even if I pull the purple out, it's still going to look, but I think it's a nice contrast. So we'll do the pink, purple flower here. I think I'm actually going to do some color layering on that to make this flower a little more interesting. So I'm going to pull that coral because it's nice, and I'm just going to do the tips. Just the tips of each petal. It's pretty subtle. And let's do a bright yellow center here. And let's make a nice yellow accent here. All right, so we've got the tail and the rails still to do. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you can see what I'm doing. And I think I'm going to just choose all my reds and purples here and a little bit of gold for the tail. Just to keep things consistent, I think we'll go around the outside with the gold. I mean, there's a lot of gold in this drawing overall, and having a little bit of an underlying dominant color creates some unity. And what does that do? It makes the viewer feel like they can find the shapes. They can figure out what the drawing is, which will give them a sense of connection and calm when they look at the drawing. So I was talking a little bit about where I started. I got pulled out in school to do special drawings when I was a kid. Didn't like that very much, but I did like to draw, so it was okay. And then when I was in high school, I really would try and compete a little bit. Like I tried to get to be the artist for the yearbook and I didn't make it. But one of my really, really good friends who was an excellent artist, Skip Bannigan, I remember his name. He got to do the artwork for the he got to do the artwork for the yearbook, but I got to do the artwork one year for the scene. I don't know if it was I think we were younger. I think it was more like our freshman year. Would do a float and for homecoming, and I got to design that one year, so that was pretty cool. That was kind of a big project, designing a float in high school. And I made it so that it was I suggested that we make it so that you could. It was the Vikings. So we were playing against the Cardinals from another town, and our team was called the Vikings. And it said the Cardinals will be squawking when the Vikings come a walking. And we had this big foot that was squishing a cardinal. Ah, yes, I'm responsible for that. Pretty sure. Must have been a team of us, probably. So we went with that. I don't know, maybe I just came up with the, some if there's any high school friends stopping by to say hi here, you can remind me. I think I came up with the, with the poem, and then I think that I also had to do a sketch of it, and I don't know how close we came to it. And I worked on the float with a whole group of people, so I'm not going to take credit for the whole thing. But I do remember being in the brainstorming on that, and because I had some art skills, I'm pretty sure I had a little bit to do with the overall design. So that was pretty fun. I'm trying to think of what else I got to design in school. Not a whole lot, but I had a lot of interest around my art and a lot of encouragement. And so it made me want to keep going, which I did. And I ended up going to art school. Okay, it's going to get noisy. I'm going to sharpen this pencil. So I by the time that I went to art school, the first time I went to art school, I was about 18 and I couldn't get into the program that I wanted to get into. So I didn't stick with it because I couldn't get into the art program, and I was taking some design classes, but it wasn't towards a goal that I wanted to do. So I ended up leaving that program and going out in the world and working. And then I went on an adventure and moved to Alaska, which was a big deal. Packed up a van, drove across the country. A very cool thing to do when you're young. And I settled in Alaska, and I went back to school there. So I went to the University of Alaska, Anchorage, and I pursued my art degree. And they had a program that was you could get a Bachelor of Fine Art and you could have an emphasis. And so I emphasized my studies in illustration, thinking that I will do books eventually, which I have. I have done a book. But then, I didn't do a book right away when I got out, when I graduated, and I've always done art in some way, on some level. I've gotten some public commissions, I've gotten private commissions. So I've got my artwork has gone to different people and gone all over the world. There's some in Europe that I've done that I've sold, and there's some on different places in the United States. And then I have a couple commissions in schools up in Alaska. Anyway, so I had some success, but it is hard to make a living. I think it might be easier now with everybody connected on the internet, but I'm not sure if it's easier or if it's just there's more competition. Can't quite know for sure about that. But back to what I was doing. So I just kept doing art in the background, but then I added an architectural drafting certification to my world. And then I got into working on houses, drafting and designing. Now I'm managing that, and I'm part of a worker-owned cooperative, which in and of itself is this incredibly exciting adventure. And it has brought me, challenged me a lot to learn a lot of new things. And now I'm actually heading up the marketing for the company. So big full circle is it brought me back to art. I mean, you definitely have to have a little bit of art if you're doing any kind of graphic marketing. Not that I do all of it, but you have to have a good eye. Let's just say that. So I am also thinking I'm at the end of my career. I've had a great time designing all different kinds of things. And now I'd just like to settle into teaching other people. Let me check the comments. I would just like to settle into teaching people or inspiring people, encouraging people to do their own artwork. Let's make these little diamonds this nice aqua color. So if you've just joined me, we're drawing a rocking horse today, and I'm starting out, I gotta check the time here. I've got plenty of time. I'm starting out by drawing it on paper and showing you how it might look on paper. I'm gonna switch over here in a few minutes to digital. And we're gonna do the whole thing all over again on an iPad. We're getting close here. So anyway, just to repeat what I just said, because I'm not sure I finished what I was thinking in my head, is in my retirement, I really would just like to draw for fun. I like to make art videos. You can go on my YouTube channel and find lots of art videos under my shorts. And then, that sounded weird, under my shorts. In the shorts section of my YouTube channel, you'll find lots of art videos. And I think I'm going to go ahead with the coral color. Is this the coral color? I guess no. This is, oh, well, let's alternate then. Ha ha ha. Okay, happy accidents. Yeah, stick with that one over here. Ooh, we're coming to the end here of this part of the drawing session. We're not done. If this encourages you to try out drawing yourself, that makes me happy. If you want to see lots of different types of drawings on different mediums, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow my channel for followers who are interested in making art. And I am going to leave this here for just a moment and warm up my coffee cup. And another thing that I was going to do, I'll get over here where you can hear me. I was going to quick check and see if I can put my hands on a gold pen. Let's see if I've got one in here. I have a bag full of pens. Don't know if I've got a gold though. Pull out a few here. I've got a few pens, but there's a blue. Pretty sure I've got a gold, but I don't know where I have it right at the moment. I have one more place I can look, so I'm going to pull those out really quick and look. So when you're an artist for a lifetime, you end up with bags of art materials. And when you want to find the gold pen without preparing ahead of time, you can't find it. So I may have to give up the ghost on that one and not do a gold pen. So what about doing let's do a different contrasting color instead. So you could do this in gold if you had a gold. And I could do it in gold if I had a gold, but at the moment, let's make sure this is working. There we go. So what I'm doing is just going to come back in here with a pen, and I'm going to add some details over the top of my colored pencil. So let's just add a couple circles all around here, some little dots. And I'm going to choose the white and fill in those dots. I don't know if I like the white, but I'm committed now. I think the white might be fun to do. That doesn't really show up, so let's not do the white. Let's go back to the purple and let's do some spirals just as decoration. So I'm kind of giving you an idea of how you can keep going with the details. And let's do that here. And I think that's probably enough on this particular little guy. And I'm going to switch over now to my digital version, which is on my iPad. And I'll be right with you in a moment when I have to open it up and go into my program. Adobe Fresco is what I use, and you can see that I have done some practicing. So let's align this with the screen. You can see that I've done a couple different rocking horse practices, and so we'll go with I was just going to go with a 16, and I'm going to switch it to be a 9 by 16, not a 16 by 9. 9 by 16. Okay. And so what that does is it's 9 wide and here we go, and 16 tall, which is the size that's compatible with a phone. Just 90, I want this at 90. There we go. Okay, done. And I'm gonna do this so my tools line up. There we go. We got everything where we want it now. So this is an Apple Pencil that I use with my iPad. And we're gonna go to a digital version of the rocking horse. So I'll use some, instead of using a plate or, or a bowl to do a round circle, I'm gonna use a guideline here. I have a ruler, but I also have a circle that I can use. I can make it nice and big. I also will probably use, well, probably won't use it. The symmetry button is something that you could use on this. So I'm going to start out just using a black line, just a plain black vector line to make my rockers. And I will move. So what I can do on this one, because that was a really bold line. I don't think I like that line. So the advantage of, get rid of that line. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to ask this line to be a little bit smaller, more like a 10, an 8, a 10, 9, 5, 10, somewhere in there. Let's make this circle big again. And we're just going to get the rockers started at this point. Again, I'm doing like the bottom 1/3 of the drawing. And so I can actually, like the plate I couldn't shrink, but this one I can shrink it a little bit. That'll give me a little bit more consistent shape to the bottom rail. And I'll put that circle away and finish out these ends. Okay, and like I did before, I'm going to draw some nice tall hoof, beginning of the legs here. The front leg is going to come up and just get a little bigger and rounder right there. The back leg goes up to a hawk, and then the big rump is the back of the leg. The front of the leg I'm not going to take all the way up to the top. I'm going to start right about here, swoop down and back, and then have it join in with the rest of the leg there. So one of the advantages of this particular program is that you can erase pretty easily. So I want that one to go like that, and I want this to be a little smoother here. Then I'm going to come in here and do a little bit of erasing. I'll make this eraser just a little bit bigger. And I also pick it up so that if I hit the back button, I don't have to erase, I don't have to like undo too much. By every time you pick it up, it stops with its memory and then you put it back down. It's a new movement, a new line. And let me show you what I mean by that. Because I'm going to erase, I'm going to hit the back button on all these. So if I go like this and I keep my line, my pen tip down and I don't stop at all, and I hit the back button, the whole thing disappears. But what if I do it this way? I go like this, and then I pick it up, and I go like this. I pick it up, and I go like this. I pick it up, and I go like that. Of course, the line doesn't look as good, but this is what happens, is when I hit the back button, it does it exactly the way I picked up and put down my line. Okay. So that's one of the things to keep in mind with digital. So let's have the belly come back like this. Mark where that wither is and hook the wither in for the back. Okay, so here I want the neck to come down to meet the belly. I want a nice strong cheek. We need a little chinny chin, the muzzle of the horse, and then go up here. I'm going to put one ear right there, and I'm going to put the other ear here. Now I have to connect that with the wither. So there we go. And I might just clean this up a little bit right here. Okay, again, I'm going to grab that circle I had before. It just popped right back to where I had it. And in this case, I think I'm just going to move that circle up. And if you remember on the other drawing, I created a background rocker. Move that just a little bit further to create a little bit of, oops, I don't have the right pen, depth to the drawing. And I'll put my circle away. And I might go in here and do a little bit of cleanup too. Take my pen, smooth it out a little bit. Okay, so another thing to remember with digital drawing is you have this opportunity to use what's called a bucket fill. But in order for a bucket fill to work, you have to really designate the areas where the bucket is going to fill. And right there I had a little gap, so I got rid of that. And I'll just do a little more cleanup here and there. Go back and smooth out these lines where they join together. So what I'm going to go around now doing, I'm just going to check all my joints, make sure they're all full, and also make sure they look good. Maybe just clean that just a little bit right there. Oh, gotta do the tail pretty soon, gotta do the back legs. We'll just do a little cleanup here. That actually looks pretty good. Just smooth that out a little. Make that a little thicker. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of room for the tail here. So I just want to keep that in mind as I draw my tail lines. And then we want to do the back legs. We just want to get the overall form done. That's really woogly there. Let me go ahead and I have to move a little bit faster when I'm drawing on a screen because it's really slippery. Okay, so the first thing I do every time that I start this is I define where the hooves are, and I don't want actually any of these lines to run into each other. It helps the viewer when they're done to be able to figure out what you've drawn, and it doesn't create a focal point where you don't want a focal point. So let's go up here and let's put the eye in. I just do an upside down L, and I do that again. I'm going to fill that eye in, all black. And we're just going to do a wiggly line for the nose, come straight back with the mouth. I would put a little bit, and that looks like a fairly happy horse. Okay, so as a reminder, on my other drawings, we're going to get very colorful and very, thank everybody for the thumbs up and thank people for joining me. We're going to get very colorful on this. Let's line the screen back up. If you're just joining me, we're working on drawing a very colorful rocking horse, and we've done it on paper already. We did a paper demo this morning, and now we are doing a digital demonstration of it. So let's go back here and close up these close windows. Thank you. So now we're going to start adding some decoration. And where I start every time is right here with my black. Just going to create a band here. It's going to be a color separator. And I have a little cleanup to do here too. And then in that band are several leaves. So I'm using a vector brush right now. And just to give you an idea of what vector means, it's a scalable brush, which means if I do an entire drawing in vector lines, and then I want to turn that into a postcard, I can turn it into a postcard size. If I want to turn it into a billboard, I can take that drawing and turn it into a billboard, really big. And the lines will always be even and clean like that. They won't have the little pixel marks that you see with a photograph that's been enlarged a lot or a drawing that's been enlarged a lot that is not a vector drawing. So these are vector lines. Okay, so I have my row of leaves there. And I actually want to have an example in front of me while I'm drawing. So I'm going to pull this out and put it, actually I won't pull it out. I'm just going to put this right up here where I can see it and put my drawing back here. That way I can kind of remind myself of what's the goal. Okay, so I'm going to put some waves on the bottom of this horse's neck. Last one. There we go. I am going to add a nice flower to the cheek of this horse. And I'm going to separate the muzzle so that I can add some nice stylized lines. Basically, it's all it's going to really do is allow me to have another color in there. Cleaning stuff up a little bit as I go. Each one I do is a little bit different. Okay, so I know that I want to have the indication of a mane here that either is flopping over to the other side of the horse or it's one of those fancy dressage braided manes. If you don't know what I mean, Google it. They're beautiful braids that are knotted up or turn into little knots that sit up on the top of the crest of the horse's mane. It's very neat and tidy looking and beautiful. So again, I didn't quite connect that. I have to be careful about that. Actually, I'm going to go back and be very careful with these lines so that they don't overlap into the main area. I'm not necessarily trying to line them up with the mane. They are their own decoration. And I think I'm going to bring them, these triangles, onto the back a little ways. Oops, getting down here. Okay, now I'm going to draw a second line. This will allow me to have a whole nother color with that triangle decorative shape. Okay. Next, I want to do a little fun thing around the tail. And I'm going to put another flower on the hip here. I'm going to go back and do that wave motif that I did before. Right here. I'll try and keep my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. That was, I don't like the last lines I did, so I get to use the magic back. Oh, what's going on? Why is my back button not working? Let me hook up my Apple Pencil. I have 97%. Why did the back button not work? Interesting problem. Is the pen working? Do I have something? So sometimes these things go a little wonky. There, the back button worked. I don't know. The pen just wigged out on me for a second. just going to tidy that up. I think we can fit a few waves in back here too. All right. So next I'm going to do these little tear dot shapes all across the belly. Just want to get a little bit neater with my lines. Let's tidy that up a little bit. Alrighty. Just check the comments really quick. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for the thumbs up. And if I remember right, I do kind of a swirl here. I'm going to start that again. I want the swirl to go up here and end there. Excuse me. And this swirl, I want to actually go the other way and meet in. There we go. That's what I'm after. All right. We've got a lot of details. I'm going to add a few more. Let's add some stripes. Let's do some diamonds and half circles. And let me stop short of the middle, because right in the middle, I want to do a heart. Start again. I want to do a heart with some leaves on either side. And then we'll go back to the diamonds and the half circles. To keep my eye on the time. Oh, I've got plenty of time. And then we want to do 2 stripes. There we go. Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to make the stripe match the other end a little bit better. It was a little bit of a curve and it had a little more space around it. Yay! Okay, I think that I've got the tail to do, and I've got this part to do, and I started out with a leaf shape, went up and did 2 leaf shapes, and then I remember I did a circle there. And here I did another flower. And I think I'm going to add some curls to this. Just to make it a little more interesting. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, and then we're going to do the tail. And just make that very ornate. Okay, so I think we are at a point where we can start filling in. We're going to start bucket filling. I want to have a little bit of difference on that ear. I think I'm going to do this here. We'll do that. I'm just adding a few more details and separation of colors. Okay, so we may find out where I have missed connecting lines when I start to use the bucket. And I'm going to go with a similar color palette that I did before, which was the main color that I want to use is kind of a gold. And I'm going to bucket fill in some very basic parts of the horse that I want to be gold. Go ahead and fill in that part. And we're going to do every other here. And then let's go with a lighter, I'm going to go with a little bit of a greeny yellow. And I'm going to go with a nice strong yellow here. I'm actually going to use my vector to clean this up a little bit. And I could, just for fun, go back and grab that greeny yellow and put a greeny yellow dot in the middle just to add a little bit of variation on there, which I'll do that as we move along with this drawing. So back to my bucket fill. I think I want to do some major purple areas in the background. So let me find a nice strong purple. I'm going to darken this one up a bit because I want it to kind of fade into the background. And then I want a nice dark blue for, oh, I see I have a hoof problem there. See how the yellow went in? So let me go back. Let me grab my black line, vector brush, black color. Just making sure you can see what I'm doing here. Thank you, Star Touched. Wow, nice drawing, they say. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I'm going to fill in there so that I can have a separation between these two, and I'll go back to my bucket fill of the navy. Okay, as you can see, we're starting to get pretty colorful. All right, let's choose a nice aqua for the waves, the watery waves. I wonder if I want to go, yeah, a little more green in it. That's good. And then I think I'm going to add it to that stripe up there. I think I'm going to add it to the muzzle. And I think that's pretty even dispersion. Let's go find that nice bright pink for some flowers. Okay, here we go. And we'll add a little bit there. I think I want a variation on that pink and go to a little bit more. Notice I'm developing a palette down here. I'll go back and start pulling from the palette once I'm done adding new colors. So I guess I want to be a little more of a coral. Not a red, but a coral. Okay, and then I can take that same coral color and go back to make it a line instead of a bucket fill. And I can add a little bit of a color variation on this flower, which makes it fun and interesting. I can do the same thing here. And if I want to alternate that, I'll go back and grab my light pinky purple color and do the same thing here. All right. So I think I'm going to go grab that coral right there. That coral is going to go to a bucket fill and be the background before I choose a green to put in the leaf shapes. So let's go ahead and find a nice green. And we've got a few more places where we can add that green. So I'm doing it. Okay. So let's go back to the palette. I want to find, do I have I have a dark purple here. I want to go to a lighter shade of that same purple and put it there. And I think I want to put it in the background here. I might do some variation on that purple. I'm going to go back and grab my gold for this background. I'm going to grab that light yellow for the tail accent. And maybe the center there. I think I'm going to go with the rosy coral here and here. And a pink there. I have a dark blue here. I want to go, so go back to that dark blue. I want to go a little bit lighter tone of that dark blue. I think I'm also going to put that down here. And I might put it up here. I think we need a nice strong color for the eye. accent. Let's go with the greeny yellow. There we go. And I'm going to go back to my corals and reds and pinks for the flower, except the center. Nice yellow. Let's do a yellow there. Let's do a yellow there. Let's go with a nice strong pink flower here. Okay, we're getting there. I think I want to pull that aqua color down into the rocker here in the diamonds. Oops. Put the gold on the tips of the rockers. And then I'm going to go with my coral for the heart and the half circles. And then we're going to go with a nice green for these two leaves. And then I think I'm going to go back to doing the coral. I really like the coral for the dots. And here somehow I missed a petal. Oh, and I missed a, goodness, I missed a diamond. What else did I miss? Did I miss anything else? Okay, so I haven't talked much about layers. This has all been on one layer. I'm going to delete this layer. I'm not sure what that is. It's a text layer, but I didn't mean to. I wonder if that's when I had trouble, if I accidentally started a text layer. I bet that's what I did when I was having a little trouble getting the pen to work. It was probably trying to write text and I wasn't cooperating with it. Okay, so I think what I want to do is I'm going to stick with the vector brush. And the reason I'm going to stick with the vector brush is I want this all on one layer. If I switch to a pixel brush, I can get a lot of crazy, wild textures, but it'll be on a different layer. And I think I'm going to animate this layer just so you can see how to do that step. But so before I do that, I want to completely finish the drawing because once you animate it, you can't change the drawing unless you de-animate it and then change the drawing. So I'm going to do it in logical steps. So I just want to add some color variation here. So I'm going to go and use my line. And I'm going to go to my palette. I think I'm going to choose that darker purple. And I think I'm going to go ahead and make this a really fine line. And I'm just going to add some. First of all, I'm going to select. Before I do that, I'm using the magic wand. And I'm going to select these areas because I don't want to have to go and clean up all my paintbrush strokes at the end. And I want to hit it with this paint, this feeling of paint strokes. And this will make it a lot tidier. Oops, that's an eraser. I don't want an eraser. I want my pen. I want it in the dark purple. So you see I'm kind of going all over the place with my pen, but the marks are actually staying inside the dashed lines. Get up close so you can see that. I just want this to look kind of painterly. And by adding some strokes here, it'll look that way. I can do that with any of these colors, and I think I will. So I am going to deselect, and I'm going to select the main orange colors and do a little bit of, whoops, I didn't get the right one. I want to get this. I'm going to do a little bit of the brush strokes there too. So I will go back up to my brush. Let's see, basic jitter, manga, outline. Let's just look at these. Mapping pen, no. Jitter. So that's a wobbly line. I'm going to try it. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to go with a even darker gold. And that is kind of interesting. It's a little bit darker than what I want. So I'm going to hit the back button. I could fill it all, but that would take a while. So let's do it again. It's a little bit darker than what I want, so I'm going to move it up closer to the existing gold that I have. It's still a little dark. I just want it to be a tiny bit different. There we go. So I can create that feeling of paint. Again, I'm using the selection button so it stays nicely within these selected areas so I can move super quickly with my pen. I don't have to worry too much about. So it's almost like it's making the paint look a little bit distressed, which is great. That's kind of what I'm looking for. It's just a painterly look. I'm going to go in the other direction too, here and there. Okay. And I'll grab this selection down here, and we'll do the same thing here. Just checking the comments really quick. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. All right, so I think this pink area looks a little bit flat. The tail area looks a little flat. Deselect, so I'm going to select that. Oopsie. Use the selection tool. And I'll use the selection tool there. The waves, I think I want to add some. I won't choose the waves just yet. We're just going to choose these. All right, so I'm still on this gold color, so I'm going to add the gold shadowing here with the wobbly lines, the jittery lines, which is totally fine. Then I'm going to switch over to a different color because I've got the pink selected here. And it's that pink, and I'm going to go to a darker, just a little bit darker. Okay. Deselect. Now I'm going to select the waves. Using the magic wand, I'm going to select the muzzle and the waves, and maybe that right there. And then I'm going to go to my vector brush, go to my palette, find the green I used before. I'm going to go lighter this time. Okay, so there we go. I think I'm going to change my brush again to back to just, oh, they have a light jitter here. Let's do the light jitter. Oh, it looks good. I'm going to make this line a bit bigger. I don't know if I like that. I do like that. Kind of gives that watery feel. Sometimes you just have to fill it in. Okay. So it's got a bit of a more of a painterly feeling to it, which is kind of what I was after. Let me just check the time because I do have an appointment I have to get to today. I want to thank everybody that's joined me. And I'm going to straighten my camera so a little bit leaning in one direction. I'm going to prop it up. Well, I usually have some little props right handy. Here we go, here's one. I'm going to prop that camera up so that it's a little more even. This might be the side that I need to put it in. Sorry for putting my finger on the camera. There we go. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to add a few accent lines because this feels a little bit plain in here. Maybe we'll add some circles and fill them in. So I'll go ahead and go back to my vector. I'll go back to my black. And let's just create a couple more circles. Or I'm going to go with a diamond shape along here. Kind of works with the triangle right above it. I think that one should be done in a different color. All right, so let's fill in with I'm going to use a bucket here. Go to my palette. Let's go with that lighter. Oh, okay, it'll take a little bit more to fill these in because I have paint lines behind. Okay. Some of them will be easier than others. No. Okay, there we go. We filled in a little bit there. Okay, now I want to choose, I think I'm going to choose green because I haven't used green a lot. And I'll use my vector brush. I'm going to go grab that green color and I'm going to add a little bit of details here and there. Does that look good? No. I don't think green is the right answer. Let's try that gold that I've used before. That gold's a little bit too dark. Let's use this one. I want it to show up. Okay, that works. Okay, that's the same color. Let me go to a lighter version. Let's go to a yellow. I'm going to create some polka dots back here. I haven't done that on any of my rocking horse drawings so far. So this is kind of fun to do something completely different. Okay. And we'll add a few spirals because spirals are always fun. We fit one in here, just barely. All right, it's starting to feel better. Let's add a few polka dots here. And then we can play around with putting a background in here just for fun. Let's just do a bucket fill of let's just put black behind it and see what happens. Well, it really makes it stand out, but now the eye looks a little funny and I lose the differentiation of the line. So let's make it instead, let's go to a really dark blue. Now it stands out a little bit more. I think that's good. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to I'm going to make this horse rock. So the problem that I'm going to run into is when I rock him, his nose might go off the edge and his tail probably will be okay, but I'm a little worried about his nose going off the edge. So I'm going to just take this whole thing and I'm going to use the transformation. I'm going to make him just a little bit smaller. So I've got a little bit of wiggle room for rocking. Okay, done. There we go. Now I'm on the layer that I want to animate. So I'm going to go down here in the corner. Can you see that on the screen? Let me just check. You can't really see what I'm doing down there. Maybe you can. Right here, there's an animation button. And it opens up a dialog box down here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this by hitting the plus button. Oh wait, I'm not going to do it that way. Okay, let me ask it to delete that frame. I'm going to actually duplicate the frame. Now I've got the exact same thing right on top of the other one, but I'm going to hit this and I'm going to ask to transform it. And I'm going to transform just this frame. And I'm going to rock it forward. But notice where the center is and the heart. It's just this side of the heart. So when I rock it forward, it pushes that back. And that's not going to look like a rocking horse. That's going to look more like a swiveling horse. So, or a spinning horse. So what I have to do is I have to bring that heart, I have to move this whole thing. Let me hit back on that. I didn't want to change the size. I have to move the whole thing. See how I'm lining that heart up? That's going to help it. That's going to actually help this look like it's rocking. And you notice it's just pushed. There's the old nose. You can see it back there, and there's the new nose. So I'm going to go ahead and say done. I'm on the second frame now, which is pitched forward. I am going to go ahead and duplicate that frame, and I'm going to pitch that forward even more. So I hit the transform button, just the frame, transform it, and I'm going to pitch it forward even more. Again, it moved the heart back, so I have to bring that all the way over here. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and say done. Okay, so now I want it, so it's starting to move. Oh, look at that. So now I want it to rock back to center. So I'm going to just duplicate this one right here, duplicate that frame. I'm going to move that here. Boom. That's number 4. So now we've got center, forward, forward more, back, and now I want to go back to center. So I'll just go to the first frame and duplicate that frame and move it all the way to the end. Oops, did it work? Let's see. Play all. So it's rocking it forward. It's not rocking it back. It looks a little jittery or a little jolting too. So it's just rough. So let's just keep going. So I'm on center. I'm going to duplicate that frame. And now instead of rocking forward, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rock back. So transform that frame, rock it back a little bit, and move my heart to center. And that's done. I will duplicate that frame again, transform it with the transform button, just that frame, and rock it just a little bit more. Get the heart to line up. And say I'm done with that one. Okay, so now what do I have? I'm going to play all. I'm going to have to rock it back to center. There's a little bit of a rough spot in there, and it's because I don't have all my frames done yet. So there's center. Oops, I don't want to move any. Uh-oh. Let me try again. Pause. So this one I want to duplicate. And I want to move it to the end. And then I want to duplicate the one where he's, actually I shouldn't have to because the start is centered. So I've got centered, rock forward. Actually, let me show you. I'm going to adjust this settings by I'm going to take the opacity down to none almost, so that you can see these frames more clearly. When they're onion skinned, it's hard to see them. So we got one. Oh no, stop moving. 1, 2. Okay, so center, rock forward, no. Center, rock forward. I'm going to have to hit undo. Something bad happened to my... All right, here we go. Center, rock forward, no. Center, rock forward. That's really interesting. What's going on here? This one's out of order. I accidentally put one out of order. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Center, rock forward. There we go. On 3 it rocks forward. I must have 2 that are in the center. Rock back, center, back, forward to center. Okay, let's play all. Okay, so there's a little bit of a pause in there. And I'm also going to change the settings so it's moving a little bit slower. Let's go to 6 and play it again. Okay, there's a pause because I have 2 of these frames. I'm going to delete one, delete. Now let's see if I got rid of the pause. I did get rid of the pause. So now we've got a rocking horse. And this is the Adobe Fresco program. And it is an iPad with an Apple Pencil. And that's basically how you would create a rocking horse using the program. So I want to thank everyone who stopped by today. I also like to show on here, pause. So settings, playback, it's a loop. You can change that to, oh, I've never tried boomerang. What happens with the boomerang? Puts a little bit of a pause in it that I don't want. So let's not do a boomerang. Play once. So if I play once, it stops. But if I put it on loop, it keeps going. And then document the timeline. I'm going to show paths as frames. I don't know about that. So I'm going to show you what this program can do with publish and export. First thing, I can capture the motion as a video, which I'm not going to do right now. I'm going to show you the time-lapse export. It'll take a moment for it. And for anybody who's joined late, I'll just let you know I've done this on an iPad, but I also demonstrated earlier how to draw the entire rocking horse on paper. And so if you want to go back, I will, this live will get processed and I'll publish it a little bit later today, so you can mark the channel and come back to it later. Okay, so here we go. We're going to now look at the Adobe Fresco records all of my drawing process, and it's from the very beginning. So it's going to show everything that I've created thus far, and as we colored it in. And I've never asked it to record the motion paths before, so that might be interesting. Of what, oh, so now I'm adding some paint. It'll take a minute to get to the motion paths. And that was me playing around with the motion paths. Okay. So I'm going to hit done on that. And for anybody who just joined, we can watch the rocking horse move from this very, very simple tool, which is a motion tool. So there is, I can do some variations on this, and I'm going to do that just to show you. You can add some effects. Not that I want to do this long term for this, but let me just show you what happens if we were to spin it. So the spin button, I'm going to hit play all. It's actually going to spin the whole thing, and I don't want it to do that, but it's a very useful tool when you do other. So let me take the spin off from that one, none. We could do the breathe. What happens when we hit breathe? It gets bigger, comes closer, goes away. Not real smooth though. So these are just the presets. There's a sparkle, which I've never seen work very well. It just fades it in and out. But I think if you were doing stars, that would be useful. And in fact, let me just show you what can happen if you do stars. All right, so I'm going to make a new layer. Whoops. Undo that. Go back to path. Let's add a new layer. And let's add a North Star above here. So I'll go back to my vector. I'm going to choose an extremely light aqua color. And I'm going to turn on my symmetry button because that'll make it nice and easy to make a star. So we'll go right here. We can move this up here, have it centered above. Okay, and then we'll lock that in place. And then let's draw a star. And we're going to make it a little bit fancy with a fine line. That's an eraser, not a line. Let me try that again. Okay. Let me do that again. There we go. That's better. Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and bucket fill that, and I'm going to use a combination of a white here and there. Where else would it look? Right, okay, and then we'll go back to that blue and go a little bit darker and fill in each of these. I'm going to go over to sort of this pink purple and go super, super. So it's just a little different shade of white. And then maybe we'll go to a really light yellow to fill in. So the star's got a little bit of color to it. Did we get the whole thing? Yes, we did. So let's turn off the symmetry button. Let's close this so we can see this better. So now this star is on its own layer right here. And it has, for some reason, I think down there I accidentally, I'm going to use the eraser and see if we can get this. I'm going to make that eraser bigger and erase that and see if we now, okay, so now here I've got just the star. So this is where it kind of, it's fun to use the motion button for that. And instead of doing the different frames, all I'm going to do is do an effect. And I'm going to, I'll just spin it using this. So there it is, it spins. And now we'll hit pause and we're going to play all. So now, oops, let me go back to this one. I don't want that. I don't want that fading out. No grow shrink. Still doing it. What's happening? Fade in, out. I don't want it. Let's try it again. Okay, so now we have a rocking horse with a spinning star. And you see how easy that was to do. So this program, you can do all the drawing that I did for free. You can download the free program, Adobe Fresco. I think you can do the animation for free, but if you can't get that tool for free, I have a paid version. At one time, I think you had to pay for the motion tool, but I'm not sure you have to pay for that anymore. But if you do have to pay, and you can buy it on a student or a teacher discount, it's about $22 a month. So if you want to try it out for a month, it's not going to break the bank. But you can learn a lot about this program for absolutely for free. So check that out. So let's see here. I'm going to have to mosey, but let me check the comments really quick. Alrighty, and we're just going to go ahead and let this play. And I am going to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful today that the weather is fine and the birds are chirping. And I'm going to see some friends of mine later. And I'm going to enjoy this day. I'm very thankful for having an audience on YouTube. I'm thankful for everybody who comes along and gives me a thumbs up or makes a comment or subscribes or just joins and finds a little fun and peace hanging out, watching another person draw. And so I want to thank everybody for coming by on this lovely day. And I will see you probably multiple times this weekend. I'm going to come back and illustrate some other things. I may do a variation on this rocking horse. I have a winter scene I'm working on, and maybe I'll bring that one up. I actually could do a little bit of a preview here before I leave so that if you watch this live, you'll see what's coming up. So I'm going to hit pause on that. I'm going to hit escape and go back here and show you what I've been working on. And it is here. We'll open it in Fresco, and then I'm going to go over and let's just hit play all and see what it's got some snowflakes happening outside the window. And I have variations on this. It's just going to keep replaying. Oh, it's played it only once. Let me go back to the settings and have it loop. So it's just going to keep looping. But this is a piece I'm working on right now, and I actually am going to incorporate the rocking horse that I just showed you with the snowflakes in the background. I've got that started too, and I think I could show you by going to my Adobe Fresco, or the other program I have is Filmmaker Pro, which doesn't orient well for these kinds of demos. It orients wide. So what I did with my, before I built a different rocking horse, and I overlaid that rocking horse on the window scene, and I changed the snowflakes. So this is where I'm at with the window scene. It starts out with one little snowflake and the horse rocking. And then I've built it up to add more snowflakes, and the wind kind of is carrying them around in circles. And so this animation was accomplished through two programs. The Adobe Fresco program, where I drew the original rocking horse and I drew the original window with the snowflakes behind it, and I animated them each. And those are two separate Adobe Fresco animations. And then with Filmmaker Pro, I put the window scene with the snowflakes as the main film. And then I did an overlay, a GIF overlay. So it's an AI cutout of my drawing. It's not AI. It's an automated cutout, so that all the background goes away except for the drawing itself, which I did. And I overlay that, and so now we have a pretty fun scene. And I'm thinking about reading some sort of a Christmas story to this background scene. And let me know what you think about that in the comments. If you think that I should have some more animation. I was thinking about bringing the mouse up here for a while. I think I'm going to do that too. And so now that has come to an end. So I'm going to go back here and just show you where we started on this, because I noticed people are coming and going. The original rocking horse drawing comes from this kind of a drawing. And it's Adobe Fresco. It's all vector drawing lines all on one layer here. And when I hit play all, it rocks the horse. I also did a demonstration earlier of how to do a spinning object, and I did a star above, which is kind of a nice touch to this particular drawing. And I might do an art video just out of this drawing. I'm not sure where that will go, but if you subscribe to my channel on YouTube or follow me on Facebook, so you can find me, you found me on YouTube right now if you're watching. It's Maggie Bates Art. If you want to find me on Facebook, my name is Maggie Bates. I also have M Bates Art as one of my channels, and I have a website, maggiebates.com. I try and keep things simple by just using my name. Maggiebates is how you spell my name. And I try and incorporate that into my titles whenever possible for channels and pages. So you can find me and you'll find that I do a lot of very colorful illustrations. They're all pretty family friendly, and I also occasionally will do just a drawing that's made for kids. This one certainly could have been made for kids. I didn't make it just for kids though because it's complicated and it has animation in it at the end. The paper version that I did earlier, I felt was certainly, and that's part of this live, I felt that was certainly appropriate for a child to try. It's going to have to be somebody who's a little bit more of an advanced drawer, but there you have it. That's why I didn't make this exclusively for kids, because it's really more of an artist who has a little more practice or is willing to take on a pretty heavy duty challenge. And I don't want to frustrate children, so I'm very careful about what I do. When I say it's only for kids, I make it something they can succeed at. So if you like learning different levels of drawing skills, please like and subscribe and follow me for more. And I'm going to sign off because I have some other things to do on this lovely Thanksgiving Day. I hope that you have an absolutely lovely day, whether you're alone or with friends, family. I hope you enjoy the day, and I hope you find something to be thankful about. Thank you very much for stopping by. Bye bye.